Hello, welcome, and thank you for volunteering your time with the Innovations for Learning TutorMate online literacy programme. Your commitment is going to play an important part in improving the reading skills and confidence of young disadvantaged pupils who need extra help, particularly after the disruptive school closures because of COVID-19. If you're new to TutorMate, learning how to navigate Tutor Portal is an important first step before you start working with a pupil. If you're a returning tutor, welcome back. We've made some changes that you'll want to know about before you start reading again this year. Please don't worry about making notes during this training. You'll be able to review this video and shorter extracts and PDFs on our training page at your convenience. Let's begin with a short introduction about early reading. Pupils come to school from many different circumstances and with many different learning abilities. Some of the children may come from backgrounds where books and reading are not a part of their home lives, or they may be learning in English for the first time. This coming academic year will be particularly difficult for many children, as COVID forced them to be out of school for several months. Their learning last year was disrupted and their reading progress may have stalled. They may well have forgotten many of the words they once knew. Evidence shows that COVID school closures have affected disadvantaged children disproportionately, and these children already faced greater challenges than their more advantaged peers. Research has shown that students from low-income backgrounds have often been exposed to almost 32 million fewer words than their peers by the time they start school. That translates into a large learning gap in both oral language development and word vocabulary. We also know from Department of Education data that 36% of English children from disadvantaged backgrounds left primary school unable to read to the expected standard, and that 69% of children who are not reading to the expected standard at the age of 7 don't reach the required standard by 11 either. Developing children's ability to read requires that they learn phonics and the fundamental strategies of reading, skills taught in every Year 1 classroom. But learning reading strategies isn't enough on its own. Children must also spend time reading out loud with someone who can encourage their progress and gently guide them in learning successful reading habits. As you coach your pupil each week, you're helping them develop in 3 vital ways: building the ability to decode the English language and its nuances, increasing their reading confidence, and last but not least, inspiring a love and joy for reading. Teachers really appreciate the one-to-one support and consistent regular practice you provide their pupils each week, especially in this difficult year when so many children will struggle. As part of the TutorMate team, you're a precious asset in the classroom and also act as a positive role model. At the beginning of the year, each pupil is assessed by their teacher and assigned a reading level based on word and phonic knowledge, comprehension, and fluency. The teacher will also select 10 pupils from their classroom to participate in the TutorMate programme. The pupils selected will be emerging readers who have mastered letter names and letter sounds and are now ready to focus on learning to sound out and read simple words. With your support, these pupils will show significant reading gains and an improvement in confidence with the additional practice you provide each week. Making sure pupils are reading at the correct reading level throughout the year is important to their success. If a child struggles consistently with the text and gets frustrated, they're likely to want to give up. The opposite is also true. If a pupil is reading material easily and understands the meaning of what they've read, it's time to move them to more challenging reading material to fend off boredom. To ensure the content of the stories found in our programme are properly levelled, IFL follows the book-bound reading levels used by most schools with coloured levels that range from pink to purple. This range represents beginning reading texts through to early Year 2 reading texts. Reading at the correct reading level is important for young readers, so how do you know when to move a pupil to the next level? The goal is for your pupil to read to you at his or her instructional level. That means that they should know approximately 80% of the words in a story and can successfully read with your help and support. If the pupil is flying through the text and they understand the meaning of what they've read, then it's time to consider moving them to the next reading level in the programme. It's useful for you to know that the children you're supporting will be using specific vocabulary in the classroom to help them identify parts of words. This vocabulary can seem rather technical to someone who's unfamiliar with early reading instruction, We've included a PDF with links to videos about phonics and a glossary of terms in the resource section of Tutor Portal. When working with your pupil, you may find it helpful to use these terms. Here are a few examples of some of the terms pupils will be familiar with. Blending. Children will identify and blend sounds to make a word. These sounds are also known as phonemes. For example, the word snap has 4 phonemes: s, n, a, p. When working with your student, try saying, "Let's work on the sounds in this word and then we can blend them together." Digraphs and trigraphs. Digraphs are 2 or 3 letters which together make one sound, such as the E sound in the word seen. There are 3 different types of digraphs: vowel digraphs like seen, tool, or sneak; consonant digraphs such as the sh sound in shine; and split digraphs. Split digraphs work as a pair to make one sound but are separated within the word. Words like late or right are examples of a split digraph. You and your assigned pupil will work together for the entire school year. You will be amazed at the growth your student will achieve by the end of the school year. The most frequently asked question is, when do I get my pupil assignment? The criteria that must be met before pupils can be assigned to a tutor are as follows. 1. All 10 tutors from the team assigned to the same class as you have registered and passed their enhanced DBS check. 2. All 10 tutors on your team have completed the online training program. 3. Teachers have completed the shared schedule and pupils have been selected for tutoring. Please note that teachers will take some time at the beginning of the year to assess each pupil's reading skill level prior to selecting them for tutoring and to ensure children have parental consent to participate in the program. As soon as you're assigned a pupil, you can sign up for your weekly session and start calling your pupil. Generally, most assignments are made in October. In the event your pupil moves away or you have concerns that the student may not be developmentally ready for TutorMate, please let us know by sending an email to help@tutormate.org and we will try to assign you a new student. Once you've been assigned a pupil, you're ready to sign up for your weekly tutoring session using the scheduling calendar. To schedule a session, go to www.tutormate.org and sign in using the same username and password you used when you registered with TutorMate. The scheduling calendar is a virtual replica of the class timetable shared by you and your pupil's teacher and is where you book your weekly tutoring sessions. Before your team starts tutoring, the teacher will block out times on the calendar that are not approved for tutoring. These will appear on the calendar in black. You're welcome to sign up during any time that is not blocked out by the teacher or already taken by another tutor. During this time of social distancing and virtual learning, some schools may adopt a hybrid attendance model. The hybrid attendance model means that children are divided between virtual or home learning and in-class learning. To accommodate this should it be needed, we've developed additional functionality on the scheduling calendar that gives the teacher the flexibility to assign students to groups based on those days they're at school. If your pupil's school is following a hybrid model, in addition to blocking out times when tutoring is not approved in black, the teacher will divide students into groups. Each group will have an assigned colour, and teachers will indicate group availability by highlighting the calendar in a specific colour. For example, if your student is in the blue group, available times for you to schedule a session will be highlighted in blue. If you log in to schedule a session and your assigned classroom is using this hybrid learning model, you will get a pop-up message indicating your student's assigned group. You can also view your pupil's assigned group above the calendar next to their name. Now let's take a look at how to schedule a weekly session. You will follow the same process whether your pupil's school is following a traditional school day or if children are only attending part-time. As we've just mentioned, the teacher will black out times on the calendar that are not available for tutoring. These times are indicated in black and are times like lunchtime or break when students are either out of the classroom or occupied by another activity. You cannot book a session that is during or overlaps with this time. The calendar is a Monday through Friday calendar and is date specific. Review the calendar for a day and time that is available for both you and your pupil. Remember, you can book in a time during any coloured or white blocks, just not black ones, and click in the cell to open the scheduling window. Verify the date and time selected. If you would like to adjust your session's start or end time, you can do so here. To save, click the Save button. After you click Save, the box will turn purple. You will see the session time, your pupil's name, and your name in the purple box. If you need to change the time of your session, click on the entry and make the necessary change by clicking on the time indicators. If you're a returning tutor, you'll remember that last year you were able to book repeating sessions that recurred each week. We've had to disable this functionality for the moment so we can allow for unforeseen timetable changes and prevent confusion during this time of COVID uncertainty. So if you would like to repeat your session day and time each week and secure the same day and time on the calendar each week, you will need to manually create those events. Click forward to the next week or weeks and schedule another session. You may schedule events in advance for as many weeks as you like. If you have a scheduling conflict during a particular week and would like to schedule an alternative time, select any day and time on the calendar that is available during that week. Click on the day and time you would like to schedule your alternate session and click Save. Notice you now have 2 entries on the calendar. To free up time should another volunteer need to reschedule their session, please be sure to delete your original event for that week. This will not affect any future events you may have created. Sessions can be viewed by week as a weekly list or by month. You can also toggle from week to week and month to month. Because you share this schedule with your teacher, he or she can also make changes to the calendar. In the event of a field trip, assembly, or other special activity when children are not available, the teacher can temporarily block those times when they're not in the classroom. If this happens, the block will show up on the calendar. If the temporary block time interferes with your session, you will receive an email that your pupil is not available for tutoring. Please note that for periodic timetable changes, some teachers choose to send you a message from the tutor platform rather than block out times on the calendar. Let's take a quick run through of the features you may find helpful throughout the year. If a school is following a traditional school day, you're welcome to sign up during any time that is not blocked out in black by the teacher. If a school is following a hybrid model, teachers will use colour coding to indicate what days and times of the week specific groups of children are available, and you should only book your session during these times. If you find calling the classroom 5 minutes after the hour results in more frequent calls being answered, you can manually adjust the time on the calendar. If you would like to tutor on the same day and time over multiple weeks, you will need to click forward and re-enter your session each week. You can also toggle from week to week or month to month. We provide a link to quick view instructions for how to use the calendar. To view relevant school holiday dates, click on the school's calendar link to view your school's term dates. When you're ready to read with your pupil for your weekly session, go to tutormate.org and sign in to the application. The first screen you'll see is the Tutor home screen. This is where you will start your session. From the home screen, you can view your pupil's name and the day and time of your session. If you have 2 children assigned to you, you can select the correct student for the session by clicking on the Change Student drop-down list. There are 2 options for starting a session: start a classroom session or start a home session. Our training today will focus on starting a classroom session. If tutoring at home becomes available for your pupil, we will contact you. To begin, click on Start Classroom Session. This will prompt the system to locate the classroom computer and generate a phone number. If you attempt to start a session earlier than your assigned time, you will get a prompt that reminds you the session has not yet started. You may begin your session early if there is not another session already in progress. Before starting a session early, please check the calendar. The system only allows for 1 volunteer to be connected to the classroom computer at a time. If there is a session in progress, a pop-up message will ask you to try again in 3 minutes. Click Yes if you would like to start your session early. As the system generates the phone number, notice the information on the right side of the screen. This information includes the school name, the teacher, also known as the classroom, your pupil's gender, and your pupil's reading level. This information is always available during the session by clicking on the Child Info link at the top of each screen. Once the classroom computer is identified, you will see on screen a phone number generated for you to call for your session. Please do not save this number. A new number will be generated for your next session. If the phone number does not appear, there may be an issue with the classroom computer and you should contact support for assistance. As you wait for the system to provide you with a phone number, you always have the option to either contact support or restart the session. Once the number is available, use your mobile, office or landline phone and call the phone number you see on the screen. The call will be answered by the classroom phone greeter. Give the greeter the name of your student.
When it's time for your reading session, you log on, dial the class number and the greeter answers your call.
Hello, who do you need? Connor.
The greeter finds the right child and the reading begins.
Hello. What's up?
If your pupil is present, click Student Available. This will advance you to the next screen where you can select the pupil's reading level. If your pupil is not available, click Phone Answered but Student Unavailable. This will automatically generate a report to let us know your student was not present for the session. You will also get a prompt to reschedule your session. If you try to call the class but the phone is not answered, we recommend you either contact chat support or click here to restart. Please give it a few minutes before you try again. The class might be late returning from another activity. Year 1 life can be busy. Once your pupil has come to the phone and you've said hello, select a reading level. The reading level is suggested by the teacher and you'll see it above the reading level circles. Feel free to move your student's reading level up or down throughout the year. When you're ready to begin, click Continue to launch the flashcard activity. Flashcards are a great way to start the tutoring session with your pupil. Prior to your session, the classroom computer will be sitting in a virtual queue waiting for you to connect. When you click on Start Tutoring, your computer joins the classroom computer in the virtual queue. Unlike screen sharing, your computer and the classroom computer are independent, even though they display the same material. As the tutor, you control the session and decide what activities to show to your student. The first step to getting started with the activities will be to select your student's reading level. This is done for both flashcards and stories. Reading levels are set by the teacher and will be listed above the reading level buttons. If the teacher doesn't move the student's reading level after a 30-day period, the system will prompt you to move the student to the next reading level. If you find the material is too difficult for your student, you can always move them back to the previous reading level and then try advancing them again the following week. As you work with your pupil, keep in mind that rewarding their success is an important component in building reading confidence. While verbal praise is very motivating and should be given often, we also provide several high five pop-ups you can use to further reward your students' hard work. Let's now walk through the activities in the tutoring application, demonstrating how you and your pupil will see them during a real session. The first activity in the sequence is Flashcards. Flashcards has two functions. It gives students an opportunity to practice sight words and it tests students' knowledge of words that follow similar patterns. Both are learned skills that will help increase reading proficiency. Spend 5 minutes at the beginning of your session on flashcards. Once your student is reading at level orange, you can skip the flashcard activity and focus more time on reading. When you click on a word, your student will see the same word on their screen. Each time your student gets a word correct, mark the word green by clicking on the green button. If your student struggles with a word or gives an incorrect response, mark the card red by clicking on the red button. Your student will only see the words you show them and will not see the words you have colour-coded in green or in red. To confirm your student has received the flashcard you sent, watch for the Sending To and Received By prompt. This feature is available for every activity and will help you gauge when the student can see the material you sent. The next activity in the series is Stories. Reading stories out loud is the most important thing your student will do, as it's where he or she gets a chance to practice. You should ideally spend 15 to 20 minutes of your session each week reading stories, but each child will be different. When you're ready to read stories, click on the story icon from the activity menu, select the appropriate reading level and click Continue to open the story library. A library of levelled books will be displayed on both your screen and on the student's screen. The student will tell you which book he or she would like to read by giving you the number next to the book title or describing the picture. You will select that story and your student can begin reading. Let's take a look at a typical story and make sure it's clear what you do and what your pupil will see. When you choose a story from the library, the child will see page 1 of that story on their screen. While you can advance the stories forward using the arrow keys, your pupil will not have that option and can only see the page number. You might decide to look through or walk through the whole book with your pupil before reading it. You can mention some of the key words and give them a sense of the story before they read it, which can boost the confidence of early or reluctant readers. Do remember to use the pictures in each story too. When you start to read each page, you can help your pupil prepare to read by asking them to look at the picture and describe what they think the story is about. As you read, you may want your student to focus on a particular word. You can do this in 2 ways. First, you can click on a word on your screen, which will highlight the word on the child's view of the page, or you can show that word to your student by typing in the message box. For example, if your student is struggling with the word park, you can type the word or its individual letters into the message student box and send that word to your student. Remind them to sound it out using their phonics. When you send the word to your pupil in this way, it will appear for them as if spoken by a small owl in the top left of the screen. Asking them what the owl is saying is a good way to check they can see the word you've sent. Asking questions about the story is a good way to see if your student is able to remember key points of the story. Can the student tell you about the story in their own words, or make connections between the story and their own experiences? Not all stories include comprehension questions, but feel free to spend time asking your student about the story when you're finished reading. If a story does include comprehension questions, they will be presented on your screen at the end of the story. The pupil screen will display pictures to help them remember what the story is about. Depending on what level your student is reading at, there are 3 types of stories to choose from: primary stories, controlled text stories, and science stories. Controlled text stories appear at the lower reading levels and contain words that the child should know at this reading level using phonic patterns that they've already been taught. For unconfident readers, this may be a good place to start, as the text is simple. When reading controlled text stories, we want students to practice reading with fluency. In other words, can the student read without having to stop and sound out a word? Can they read the text accurately and with expression? Primary stories use both words that students should know and also those that they're learning in Year 1. By reading these stories, students are increasing their word knowledge and practicing newly learned words. Once you feel your student has mastered a level of primary stories, it may be time to test their fluency skills using the controlled text stories, which appear at higher levels. Science stories are presented in later levels. These are very engaging texts that introduce science-related content about the Earth, space exploration, and chemistry. In addition to providing stories for practicing reading and fluency skills, we also provide students with word games designed to build their knowledge of words and word parts. You can fit these in between stories to break up reading or offer children a chance to do them before you say goodbye for the week. Feel free to experiment. There are 3 word activities to choose from. What follows is a brief look at each game. To view step-by-step instructions, click on the Directions link at the top of each page. In the word sort activity, students will practice sorting words based on their word endings. This is great practice for students learning how to sound out words. As the tutor, you will select the word from a list of 9 words you'll see above the coloured boxes. Your student will see the same word on their screen, but will only see 1 word, not the menu that you have. Ask your student where the word belongs based on the word ending. Once you click on the appropriate box, the word will populate and the student will see the same word on their screen. Once all the words have been placed in a box, draw your student's attention to the similarities of the words. Then ask your student to read the words in each box. 3 in a row is a favourite activity for many students. This additional exposure to words will help encourage fluent reading and word identification. When you're ready to begin, determine who will be a cross and who will be a nought. Notice each box has a word. Your pupil can see the same words as you. Taking turns, you and your student will try to be the first to get 3 crosses or noughts in a row up, down, across or diagonally. When you place a cross or a nought in the box, your student will see the same thing on their screen. Mystery word is a fun way of learning vocabulary and will help students remember the spelling of new words. To begin, think of a word or use one of the suggested words found on the right side of your screen. the student cannot see these words. When you have a word in mind, click on the number of letters of the word. Your student will see the same number of blank spaces on their screen. As your student begins to guess letters, click on the letter on the keyboard. This will highlight that letter for both you and your student. Place your cursor on the appropriate line and select the letter using your computer keyboard. Your student will see each letter on their screen. You may find your student needs a little help getting started with this activity. Consider filling in the first letter or offering a clue to help your student guess the word. The whiteboard simulates a magnetic board and is great for practicing spelling, difficult words, or making up fun sentences. Type a word or phrase in the field at the bottom of the screen. When you click Submit Word, your student will see the same word or phrase on their screen. You can also move words and phrases around by dragging anywhere on the board. Why not make up a story together each week? While it may be tempting to spend more time with your student, please end your session promptly at the end of 30 minutes. There may be another tutor scheduled immediately after your session, and the system only allows for one tutoring session to be running at a time. To disengage from the session, click on End Session from the menu or click the red End link at the top of the page. You will be redirected to the home page and can log out of the application. Next, we'd like to give you some more in-depth tips and reminders about how to get the best out of reading with your student. Once children have mastered letter names and sounds, there are 4 components to becoming a proficient reader. The first is having a strong oral vocabulary. The second is having enough knowledge of the world to give context to what the pupil is reading. The third is being able to read a passage fluently, and the fourth is being able to comprehend that passage. These are all interrelated, and during the course of the year with your pupil, you will help them build these skills. The skill we would like you to focus on with your pupil is fluency. Fluency is the ability to read a passage with reasonable speed and expression so that it sounds natural. When reading fluently, the pupil doesn't need to expend too much processing power on a particular word and can think about the story in its totality. The key skill a pupil will need in order to read fluently is called word attack. Word attack is learning how to read words that are not easily read by sight. For these words, the pupil needs to have some form of phonics-based strategy in order to sound out the word. As we covered in the introduction, children in UK schools are taught to read using a system called phonics. Phonics focuses on the sounds of letters in a word rather than their alphabet names, as it's easier for children to understand. Remember that the children you're supporting will be using specific vocabulary in the classroom to help them identify parts of words, and that if you're able to use some of this vocabulary too, that can help to guide them. We've included a background document with links to explanatory videos about phonics and a glossary of terms in the resource section of Tutor Portal. Let's look at a simple sentence. I have a plan. The pupil will likely know the first 3 words by sight. However, the last word, plan, the pupil is unlikely to know by sight. In order to understand the sentence, the pupil will need to know some kind of phonics strategy to sound out the word. The word attack strategy that is used in all English primary schools is for children to sound out p, l, a, n, using single sounds or phonemes and then blend them to read the word. So, when a pupil comes across a difficult word, encourage them to use their phonic knowledge and blend the phonemes together to read the word. Some pupils struggle to remember when to use which sound for a letter, so be patient with them and encourage them to experiment when a word that they're reading does not sound right in context. While we want pupils to give the word a try, we don't want them to dwell too long on a word that they just can't seem to identify. Ask your pupil to continue reading the sentence and return to the difficult word after finishing the story. There may be a cue in the story that will help the pupil identify the word. As you read stories with your pupil, you will notice that words in the story are colour-coded. These words are colour-coded in your view only. Words are colour-coded to indicate sight words and words that conform to standard phonics or phoneme blending patterns. Sight words, indicated in red, are words that appear frequently in Year 1 texts. Pupils should learn to read these words by sight and not spend time trying to sound out the word. If a pupil struggles with one of these words, help them sound out the word by using the blending technique. Initially, many pupils chosen to participate in TutorMate may struggle from a lack of confidence, and you may encounter children who are very shy and hesitant to read out loud. Some may appear to be uninterested, others may be easily distracted, and some may even tell you they don't want to read. Please stick with them and offer them encouragement and praise. It may be that you need to read with your pupil for less than 30 minutes to start with to build up their concentration. You might want to take turns reading if they struggle and get them to spot any mistakes that you make. Our monthly newsletters will also offer you a variety of tips and tricks to use as the year progresses. While we do everything possible to ensure you have a successful session with your student, there are times when you may need support during a session or need to report a problem. Let's first take a look at what you should do if you need help during an active session. During your time with your student, you may encounter a technical issue, and it's important that these issues be addressed quickly. Please do not ask your pupil's teacher for help. We have chat support agents standing by to help you with any problem you may encounter during the session. Our live chat support agents have direct remote access to the tutoring computer in the classroom and can resolve most issues within a few seconds. There are a few generic issues that you might encounter that can be fixed quickly by the live chat team. For example, an audio level that is too low, a window that may be blocking the tutoring application, or confirmation that the student can view the activity that you sent. Anytime you encounter a problem that affects the quality of your session, please contact a live chat support agent immediately. Don't wait until the session is over to let us know that you had a problem. There are 4 options available should you need help when tutoring your student: live chat, IFL mobile chat, Citrix fast chat, and phone support. To reach a support agent using live chat, click on the orange bar located in the bottom right corner of the tutoring application. The support agent will acknowledge your presence in the chat room and you can begin the chat. Most volunteers have access to live chat. However, if your organisation does not allow live chat, we do have other options available. To view other support options, click on the Help Options link at the top of the page. Please remember to have the school and teacher name available when using a support option other than live chat. Let's take a moment to review the other options available. You can use IFL mobile chat from any smartphone that is not blocked by your organisation's firewall. From your mobile phone, go to www.tutormate.org/chat. You'll be prompted to input your information the first time you visit mobile chat. The information will auto-populate the next time you access the app. If your organisation allows fast chat, go to www.gotoassist.com/sb/tutormate. Once you're logged in, follow the prompts to connect with a chat support agent. You're welcome to call us on the phone if you can't reach us on chat, however response time may be slower. For phone support, dial 0203 314 7710. In addition to our live chat support team, we are introducing a new feature that will give you an opportunity to report a problem that was disruptive to your session. During your session, you may experience an issue that disrupts or makes it difficult to work with your student. To report a disruption, click the Disrupted link at the top of the page and select the problem from the drop-down menu. While this does not replace contacting a live chat agent, it does give us valuable information about your session. This information is reviewed daily and will be used to make sure your next session is not disrupted. We know that there are times when you may have concerns or would like to speak to one of our customer support specialists. If you would like a customer support specialist to contact you directly, you can send a message to the specialist by clicking on the support link on the home page. The specialist will respond to your message within 24 hours. You're also welcome to email us at help@tutormate.org. Tutor Portal has a built-in message tool that makes it easy to send and receive messages to and from your teacher. Every time you visit the Tutor homepage, you can view any new messages received. To send a message to your teacher, click on the Message Your Teacher icon on the homepage. Click on Create a New Message and type the message to the teacher. When you're done, click Send Message. When there's a message pending for your review, you will receive a text and/or an email message alerting you to check the message section of the TutorMate portal. If you would prefer not to receive these messages, check the text and/or email opt-out box on the messages page. Please note that we encourage teachers to communicate with their tutors as often as possible, but some teachers may not have the time to routinely send or reply to messages. If you have a question that needs to be addressed by your teacher and you have not received a response within 3 to 4 days, please contact help@tutormate.org and we will contact the teacher for you. You'll remember that when you signed up to tutor, you were asked to read and agree to IFL's Child Safeguarding Policy and sign up to a Code of Conduct. Like all organisations working with young children, we take safeguarding very seriously and believe that this is everyone's responsibility. We're just going to go over the key features of our safeguarding approach to be sure that you're clear what your responsibilities are as a volunteer and what behaviour we expect from TutorMate tutors. For more details, please do read the policy or read the safeguarding resources we have on our resources page. During your tutoring session, your pupil may share something with you that you might find concerning. In the event that a child discloses something that leads you to suspect abuse or maltreatment, you should do the following. Stay calm. It is important to stay calm, even if you feel anxious and upset. The child is coming to you for help, and the more relaxed you sound, the better able you are to help them. Listen carefully. Allow the child to speak openly without interruptions. Try to make a note of the child's exact words. Consider repeating them back to the child so you ensure you've understood correctly. Do not ask any leading or probing questions, or ask if this has happened before, for example. The child will decide what they want to share. Questions should clarify only. Explain that you can't keep secrets. Be clear that nothing can be kept confidential. If a child asks you to keep what they tell you secret, explain that you can't. Explain that you will need to tell someone what the child has shared. Consider using, "I can understand that you're worried. I will talk to someone who can give you support." Reassure the child. React in a calm and reassuring manner, emphasizing that the child has done the right thing to tell you and that they're brave to do so. Don't respond in an emotional way or share judgments about what you hear or people involved. Say that you feel really pleased that they were able to share this with you. These statements may be helpful. I'm glad you were able to tell me. It's not your fault. You're not to blame. Avoid promises like, "Everything will be all right." Next steps. Your role is to listen, report, and record. Continue with the TutorMate session, if that's possible and relevant. As soon as the session has ended, report your concern immediately to communityuk@tutormate.org using the rapid reporting form on our resources page, and which was included in the Code of Conduct. In any child safeguarding situation, IFL will address your concerns with the appropriate authorities and will involve you only if necessary. Please do not try to investigate the issue yourself. The best course of action is to gently guide your pupil back to the tutoring session, and once the session has ended, report your concerns as we've described. Please also remember that you are in a position of responsibility as a tutor and that your pupils may regard you as a role model. You will also want to protect yourself against any unfounded allegations of inappropriate behaviour. Do remember the following. You are in a position of responsibility and so should use language carefully and appropriately for this age group. Do not share personal information with pupils, for example a phone number, email address, social media details. Do not ask children for their personal information. Do not use video during any session or share website links. Do not arrange to meet a child anywhere. Do not offer to send children gifts or money or make promises to them that cannot be fulfilled. Do not interact with children under the influence of alcohol or drugs. If you meet your pupil at school, you should only take photos of children if they have confirmed that the child has a photo release. Thank you so much for your support to keep children participating in TutorMate safe. When calling the classroom for your session, keep in mind that primary school classrooms are very busy and can be unpredictable. Young pupils are always on the move, which means that your calls may not be answered right away and may occasionally be missed. Please try calling back if you do not receive an answer on the first attempt. Sometimes it takes a little longer for the phone greeter to answer the call. If you still do not get an answer after a second attempt, contact the support desk so that they can check the equipment for you. Year 1 classrooms do get noisy, and some classroom activities can create a lot of commotion. If you find that a noisy classroom consistently interferes with your tutoring session, please report this to live chat support, as they might be able to help. Do also let us know by clicking on the relevant disrupted category at the top of the screen. If needed, we may ask you to consider moving your weekly session to a different time slot. You can also ask the pupil to raise the quiet please sign to remind the teacher that he or she is in a session. A pupil being absent or an unplanned activity can sometimes interfere with your scheduled session. If this is the case, you may receive a message from your teacher letting you know that your pupil is not available for tutoring on that day. A good rule, however, is to always call the classroom unless you hear otherwise from the teacher. Consistent tutoring is very important to your pupil's reading success. For those times when your pupil is not available for tutoring, consider signing up for a one-off session on another day that week. If you find that you have not had an opportunity to tutor your pupil for 2 or more weeks, please report this information to the support team so that we can investigate further. At the end of each year, we encourage our volunteer tutors to visit their school and celebrate the great reading work done with their pupil during the school year. Please remember that while we actively discourage you from taking an individual present for your pupil, whole class gifts or healthy snacks are very welcome. This is a wonderful event for teachers, tutors and pupils, and you won't want to miss it. If you're interested in participating in either of these 2 opportunities, please contact your organisation's tutor coordinator for more information. Thank you for taking the time to watch the TutorMate training video. To help us provide you with the best information possible, please respond to the short survey at the end of this video. To watch the full training again, or to view a specific segment of the training, visit the training section of the TutorMate platform. We hope you have a fun year reading with your pupil.